Hello and welcome to another installment of our Project Restart updates. My name is Tim Bullis and I work with the Communications and Community Engagement team with Chesterfield County Public Schools. Thank you for taking a few minutes today to learn more about our efforts to return students to in-person learning opportunities in the safest manner possible. On October 26th, our cohort number 3 students, those are our students in 4th and 5th grade, successfully returned to classrooms across Chesterfield County. The very next day, on October the 27th, the school board received a presentation from our public health panel which recommended that it was fine to move forward with cohort number 4's in-person return to instruction. With us today to talk through the latest development is our superintendent, Dr. Merv Doherty. Dr. Doherty, welcome.
Thank you, Tim.
So you were not an active participant in the Public Health Committee, but you were an observer at all of the meetings. What prompted the Public Health Committee to move forward with cohort number 4's return?
First of all, I really appreciate the people on the committee. They took a lot of time, great conversation, and they looked at the data. And some would say, well, there were 3 pieces of data. Well, from where the committee ended up with us at the end here and where they began, a lot of data was revealed to them that wasn't there in the beginning. You know, the dashboards for VDH, the information of VDH. And they had a great discussion. They've always had great discussion on what to do. The safety of children is always first. And they looked at the data and they said, you know, we're at the very end of an issue where this, we could pause, we could go, and the data moves just like a roller coaster. It's up and down all the time. They felt that, you know, the pre-K to 5 was moving well, and that with us going to a hybrid model, when you think about having 50% of the students that want to come back to school coming to school, which would be about 35 to 40% of any one time of students in the building, they felt very comfortable about moving forward. There was a split decision, but I think there were good discussions on both. But they felt let's move forward and use all the precautions that we have to make sure that we operate in a safe manner for our faculty and for our students.
So as they did in the past, they used not just primary indicators for data, but they used secondary indicators. And it seemed like the secondary indicators, which again pointed to the numbers being on the very low side of a return, were used this time, not out of the ordinary.
No, and what was amazing, you know, when they looked at the data, and we still look at the data, I mean, when you're in the green, that's a very positive, that people are trying to follow the rules with masks and listen to the directions from the health department. But as we know, as they move forward, they kept seeing data that they were, you know, as I say, going below the iceberg, you know, not looking at the 10% above, but looking at also the factors that would help us get back to school. And I know some people wanted to stay with just with the 3 major points, but there's also points were also skewed at time as well due to other factors that we don't control. So they were just trying to do their very best, and I think they made every effort to do that.
So the panel about a month ago adopted the Virginia Department of Health's newest metrics. Mm-hmm. There's been some concern that the goalposts were moved. My understanding from the committee is that we didn't move the goalposts, the state moved their goalposts closer to us. So the numbers really align, or the metrics really align.
That's a great point, Tim, and absolutely correct. I mean, we were given data, and to not use the data, I think, would be misleading. I think to use the data that's available, and it's available to the public for us to use and to keep a watch on.
As of today, since teachers returned to school in late August, there have been 58 positive cases reported in our schools. And just for context, that's out of about 13,000 pre-K through 5 students who've returned and about 6,000 employees who've returned. So out of 19,000 employees, that's a 0.3% positivity rate. Not the real metric that the state uses, but that math still works for us, who have contracted the virus while at school. Our proactive measures in school so far really seem to be working.
Well, and I would agree with you. I think everyone's working extremely hard, from the schools to working with the county health department, working with the rules, the guidelines from even our operations people, making sure we have the proper supplies, making sure we have a way to restock the supplies in the buildings, making sure that people wear their masks, that people 6 feet distancing. But people think, you know, if it happens in the school, that it was contracted at the school. And a lot of our contract tracing showing that is not the case. Very few of our cases are because of being in the building. And we continue to ask people to, when they're not in school, to practice the same safety precautions as we do while we're in school.
And I guess we should acknowledge each one of those 58 cases is a cause for concern. We do the contact tracing.
Yes.
If there is a close contact, they are asked to quarantine at their home for 14 days. They're not allowed in school. So again, still taking every measure possible to protect our students and staff while they're in school.
Absolutely, and we take it very serious, and I think we've acted in a rapid manner, very appropriate manner, and a very health conscious manner.
So there have been some concerns noted from parents since the decision was made about the increase in number of cases in Chesterfield, and they've pointed nationally and internationally as well. What are we doing now to monitor that situation?
Well, I know that our health people look at the data every day. We continue to practice the safe guidelines. I think that's all you can do. We want to narrow it on the schools, but our society is coming back. And I don't see people not going into the supermarket, not going to the barbershop, not shopping, and going to Lowe's or Home Depot. And as long as we practice our safety and respect of others, wearing our masks, doing the best we can to stay the distancing piece, there are a lot of challenges what we have to do, and I just think that we continue to practice health safety standards, and we ask everybody else to do it as well. And we're not perfect. We are definitely not perfect. People are going to forget their masks and say, "Get your mask on." Too close to each other. Let's be careful. We're creatures of social nature. We like to be around people, and I think people are trying to do their very best.
So if you haven't visited all 39 schools since our students started, elementary schools, since our students started returning, you've certainly seen the vast majority of them. What have you seen so far?
Students, outstanding job in the classroom wearing their masks. Teachers, just fantastic job teaching. I've been in classrooms where they have had not only their students in the classroom, but their students online teaching, doing a great job. Being health conscious about what to do. We have set up guidelines for meals, set up guidelines for transportation. The custodians and the day porters and BOS are doing everything they can to keep the buildings clean and safe. And I think there's an awareness that we want to stay healthy, and we have ways to do that. But also our students want to be back into school.
Let's jump ahead to November 9th and the return of our middle school and high school students. What can those students expect to see in schools when they return?
Well, they're going to see the same thing I think that all of our students did. They're going to see directional arrows. They're going to see safety signs. They're going to see guidelines and executive orders of what to do and what not to do. They're going to see their class sizes down to less than 50% of what's in there, and they're going to be social distance. The difference between the secondary and elementary, you're going to have more movement in the hallways going class to class. And there our students are going to have to make sure they wear their mask. We're going to help them with reminding them. But they are going to be moving from class to class. Our meals will be set up where there's social distancing. Our buses will be set up. And I think just like the elementary staffs have done, the secondary staffs are well prepared and willing to get their students back in. We do understand how important it is for face-to-face instruction. And we want to do this in a way that for the next several months, we can look at the data, look at the numbers to see how we can come back full-time. But we're not coming back full-time in the near future. We really need to look at the data now for November, December to see what the second semester looks like.
You acknowledge one specific area, the transfer of students back and forth between classes, which means travel in the hallway. Some of our hallways are not but about 8 feet wide, which will make 6 feet social distancing a little difficult. We will attempt to follow the social distancing models in place to the greatest extent possible, but there will be rare occasions where students may not be able to keep that 6-foot social distancing.
Well, we have directional arrows. So we're asking students to walk in directions, to follow the arrows. And it's going to be a learning opportunity for them as well. But we've been in this pandemic, for half a year or more. So everybody understands the value of following the rules, understanding the keys of coming back to school and starting to get back to some type of normalcy. And all we can do is our very best of keeping our children safe. Talking to superintendents around the country, secondary schools are back. The mask issue is the most important thing that people feel right now, is that if we continue to provide the masks and make sure they have them, that we'll be in very good shape.
And again, our elementary students, as we referenced earlier, with less than 1% of our population back in schools testing positive, again, that's still a concern, but our folks are following directions as we've given them. We've provided some options for secondary students, and they were shared with parents again over this past weekend. Hybrid in-person, a virtual learning experience, or CCPS online. The hybrid in-person is 2 days a week in school, and then 3 days a week learning from home. When students are not in school, they'll likely be following the same sort of routine that they are right now in the virtual learning environment, correct?
Absolutely. The secondary people, staff really want to keep pushing the curriculum forward. So when you're in school or if you're at home, you're still going to be getting the information that you need to keep moving forward. It's not where we're going to be teaching 2 days for Monday and Tuesday, and then the same thing on Thursday and Friday. They're going to continue to push the curriculum and work with the students, and they're doing a very good job of that. We've seen that at the elementary level, and they're a fantastic job. And our secondary people are excited about it because they know that they're going to be able to move forward with curriculum and not hold back.
So if a family does not feel comfortable sending their child immediately back to school and wants to give it a week to see how it goes, their child can continue to stay in
Absolutely.
a virtual learning environment and still get that same
Absolutely.
instruction. Right.
And they have the opportunity also, if they really feel that it's important, to go to CCPS online and go in that method as well.
Okay. Well, let's close out our time with today with 2 last questions. These are the ones that seem to come up the most now from our parents. They're watching the news and they're seeing the reports about increased numbers and want to know what it would take or what would cause the school division to close a school or close the school division.
That's a really good question. And the key for us is our discussion with the Department of Health. If we have several cases in the building where we see that it's throughout the school, we would close the school. There are times that you have a grade level. We've seen that as well. Districts around Virginia have said, okay, a certain grade level, that whole grade level is going to be quarantined for 2 weeks. They'll go virtual learning. The school system, it would have to be the pandemic would have to spread throughout all of our schools, or a majority of our schools. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. There's no doubt that the election, what will happen with the election, but also what will happen with the health standards. There's a lot of anticipation of changes coming within the next couple of weeks with the health standards again. And then, you also have to deal with it's flu season. And I do commend Chesterfield County, especially for really promoting students and staff getting their flu shots. So there are a lot of situations to look at and understanding what they are. And I think we are looking at every day and what happens. And when it happens at a school and we have to quarantine a teacher or students or whatever it is, that discussion is occurring.
So transmission within a school will really be a key indicator for you and the health department moving
Absolutely.
forward. Okay. And finally, as we wrap up, what do you want our parents to know about the decisions that are being made, and our staff members as well, and especially in line with the health and safety of our students and staff in mind?
From the very beginning with the health department and on our school board, it's always been about safety and health. And people are going to argue this. There are 2 sides, as I keep talking, there's 2 sides. There's people who want to come back to school and those who don't want to come back till this pandemic's completely gone. Well, we want to give you the options with this. We have an obligation to teach, and our goal is to make sure that it's safe. And If they see where a parent or a student or a staff member feels that it's not safe, notify the principal immediately. We've had people notify us about many different little things, and our operations people have been there immediately to make sure that they rectify that situation. We can either move forward and do the best we can to make sure we're safe, we're healthy, and we're teaching our students, or we can stay back in our homes. And health department decided, our health panel decided, let's go ahead. The data looks good enough for us. And this past week, it has looked better, because it's this roller coaster effect, and we just can't take one day at a time. I'm looking forward to the secondaries coming back. We are learning new things every day, but we are not taking it as an unsafe environment. And again, it is wear a mask, let's keep the place clean, and I think we will be able to move forward. And I am looking forward to not only getting through 20, but I think 21 is going to be a much better year for us educationally.
And I guess the last thing I would point out is not only do members of your senior staff have school-age children, so they're looking through that lens as well, but our school board has a number of school-age children that are in Chesterfield County schools. So this decision is not being made without a personal feel to it as well.
Well, and I've heard, I get emails from everybody, and I've heard it's political, there's why are we doing this, thank you for doing, it's a wide spectrum. And I can tell you from the health panel side, there was nothing political about it. They were talking about data, and you had people on the panel who have children in our schools, and what they see in the medical field and what is occurring, and to move forward with it.
Well, I know that my middle schooler and my high schooler are looking forward to returning to school next week and the opportunity for that in-person interaction with students.
And our entire district staff will be out in the building to support the secondaries like we did with the elementary.
Well, Team Chesterfield, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate you taking time as we move forward. On November 9th, our secondary, middle, and high school students will be eligible to return to in-person learning. You'll be getting information from your local schools within the next week. If you haven't already about that return, please stay tuned to their information so that you are informed and know how to make the best decision moving forward. As always, we appreciate your continued support of Chesterfield County Public Schools. Have a great day.